You are here. The world is a jolt of cold air, the smell of straw and grime, and your lungs' first taste is brazier smoke. There is no luxury, no softness. There is pain, exhaustion, and the hope of a family. Seconds after your first scream, they are already assessing you. If you are a boy, perhaps a sigh of relief. If you are a girl, well, let's just say life has already begun with a heavy weight. A silent prayer whispered for you to simply survive. You've barely breathed and you are already fighting. And believe me, this struggle will be the keynote of your entire existence. Welcome to Imperial China. The dice are cast. For every newborn's cry in Imperial China, there was a stark, unforgiving calculation. If you emerged a boy, you represented the lineage's continuation, vital labor for the fields. A minuscule chance, but a chance nonetheless, to perhaps socially ascend. Your future held purpose. But if you were a girl, for poor families you were often a burden, an extra mouth to feed, one who would not carry the family name forward. Your worth felt diminished from birth. Infant mortality rates were brutally high. For girls, the risk of disappearing in early days loomed. This was a shadow even darker than natural death. Survival was not guaranteed, but desired. You had a 50% chance of being born, but maybe only a 10% chance of being truly cherished. A loved, valued member of the family rather than a fleeting presence. Such was your harsh reality. Your gender dictates your immediate value, your potential for a life of purpose or dismissal. No matter your cry, your fate was already being decided. A silent, societal judgment unfolds. Your arrival is not solely a celebration, but an economic and social transaction. A harsh truth. Your earliest moments are defined by this arbitrary yet profound roll of destiny's cruel dice. And so, your very first breath is a gamble you didn't even know you were playing. Your childhood becomes a relentless lesson in sheer deprivation. Toys? Perhaps a smooth pebble. Comfort? Often just the rough, dry earth beneath your perpetually bare, dirty feet. Food, when it arrived, was a shout of fleeting relief, devoured quickly and gratefully. Rice, millet, some withered greens if luck allowed. Never quite enough to truly satisfy. The looming threat of hunger wasn't a distant rumor, but a constant, unwelcome dinner guest. Always ready to strike after every devastating Yellow River flood or a prolonged, scorching drought. Your parents whispered about it, their faces etched with worry. You learned early the meaning of an empty, aching belly, the gnawing weakness it brought, a persistent ache. Each harvest was a cruel lottery, a roll of the cosmic dice. The prize? Simple survival. The alternative? A slow, agonizing descent into starvation, a common, terrifying fate. If you were born a girl, around 5 or 6 years old, the ritual begins. A ceremony of pain. The excruciating agony of your delicate feet being deliberately broken and tightly bound. Bones crushed to painstakingly create the infamous lotus feet, a cruel cultural ideal. An agonizing beauty, a profound symbol of status and wealth, but also a literal prison. A gilded cage within your own small, suffering body. Your movements are forever altered. You painstakingly learn to walk with tiny, shuffling steps, to dance for others' pleasure. But your world shrinks, confined to the restrictive limits of your family's home or courtyard. The vast, dangerous, exciting world outside will never truly be yours to explore freely, because your feet were deliberately made to never carry you very far, to hold you back. Forever tethered, forever bound by a tradition that promised beauty but delivered only pain. If you were a boy and your family possessed even a sliver of means, a chance in millions, perhaps you might gain access to a strict master, hundreds of intricate characters to memorize. The ultimate goal? The Imperial examinations, a grueling, life-altering academic gauntlet. Decades of solitary, relentless study, memorizing classical texts, intricate poetry. Absorbing the complex philosophy of Confucianism. It was an all-consuming devotion, a savage, exhausting competition against thousands. The passing rate was astronomically low, lower than winning a mere lottery ticket. Failure meant a crushing return to the fields, back to the soul-crushing poverty, the predetermined fate you so desperately fought to escape. And the pressure? Oh, the pressure was the immense, crushing weight of 1,000 years. 1,000 years of tradition, expectations, and the hopes of your entire struggling family. Imperial China operated under the emperor, the revered son of heaven. His will was absolute. But this mandate of heaven was a double-edged sword, always precarious, always watched. If anything went wrong, a devastating flood, a widespread famine, a burgeoning rebellion, it signaled that the emperor had lost the favor of the heavens, a celestial judgment. And you, the humble peasant, were the one who bore the brunt of these grave consequences, whether it was through crushing, higher taxes, or more severe, brutal punishments. Or, worse, the unbridled wrath of local officials who acted as petty kings, often corrupt and utterly ruthless in their provincial domains. Your life was a tightrope walk, a delicate dance between complete, unwavering obedience and the desperate need for survival, where one misstep, one perceived transgression, could easily lead to the whip, to prison, or worse. With each new season, your life became a terrifying game of Russian roulette with diseases. Smallpox, the bubonic plague, cholera, dysentery. They were all constant, lurking threats. Without basic sanitation, without any semblance of modern medicine, your defenses were few. With every cough from a neighbor, every fever in a child, fear spread faster than the disease. A simple cut on your finger could swiftly escalate into a fatal, agonizing infection. A common cold, dismissed today, could quickly morph into deadly, suffocating pneumonia. The average life expectancy was truly pathetic, a cruel joke on human endurance. Most deaths were not from old age, but from simple ailments easily cured today. Something a modern tablet and a day's rest would fix. But for you, it was a death sentence. Your existence was a fragile flicker, constantly threatened by unseen, microscopic assassins. Romantic love was a distant luxury, almost a myth in your harsh reality. It was not for you. Your marriage was never about your individual feelings or desires, but about your family, about strategic alliances, substantial dowries, and the sacred concept of honor. You would barely know your future spouse before the day of the solemn ceremony. If you were a woman, you would move into your husband's family home, a new, intimidating world. There, you would be eternally subservient to your formidable mother-in-law, and to all other older women within the household, a strict hierarchy to navigate carefully. Your singular mission was starkly clear: to produce a male heir, the ultimate duty. And if you failed in this crucial task, your precarious position in the family would always remain hanging by a fragile thread, ever present, ever threatening, a constant source of anxiety. Life was cyclical, dictated by the unpredictable whims and moods of an often fickle nature. Rains were a true blessing, a gift from the heavens, nourishing your parched, desperate crops. But too much rain, and the mighty river would inevitably overflow, unleashing its fury, drowning your precious harvest, submerging your humble home, washing away your very dreams. Too little rain, and the earth would crack and harden, the nascent seeds dying swiftly. And then, once again, the specter of famine would come knocking, a relentless, dreaded visitor. Every new dawn was a fervent prayer to the ancient gods, an anxious observation of the sky. The delicate balance was terrifyingly precarious, easily disrupted by the slightest disharmony. The smallest imbalance could swiftly mean widespread, catastrophic disaster for all. You were merely a single grain of rice, completely at the mercy of the vast, indifferent wind. Dissatisfaction was a pressure cooker, simmering dangerously, always threatening to explode. At any moment, a peasant rebellion could erupt, spilling violence into your quiet village. And you, inevitably, would find yourself caught directly in the chaotic, brutal crossfire. Bandits, opportunists of chaos, would exploit the turmoil, preying on the weak and vulnerable. The empire, in its ruthless defense of order, would respond with uncompromising brutality. You could be forcibly conscripted into a rebel army, compelled to fight their battles, or, equally likely, press-ganged into the government's forces against your will, to fight in wars that were never truly yours, to die for ideals that offered no sustenance. Your village could be mercilessly plundered, your family scattered, your life utterly upended, by forces far greater, far more powerful, and utterly indifferent to your meager existence. From the first blush of dawn until the deep shroud of night, your entire life was relentless work. Toiling tirelessly in the sun-baked fields, or ceaselessly at home, weaving, grinding. There was no concept of retirement, no respite, no promised end to the daily grind. Your muscles constantly ached, your back progressively bent under the heavy burden of labor. Small, fleeting pleasures, a rare cup of warm tea, a cherished story by the dim fire, were exceedingly rare, stolen moments of quiet reprieve from the ceaseless demands. The desperate search for inner peace was a constant, elusive quest in your troubled heart. But the harsh reality was an unforgiving spiral of grueling effort, pervasive uncertainty, and ultimately a profound, weary resignation to a fate you could never truly escape. Your existence was a testament to endurance, a silent song of endless, unrewarded toil. One day you feel the cold, not the bite of winter, but a deep, pervasive chill. A cold that emanates from within, slowly consuming you, even as the sun beats down. It hits your forehead as you labor, bent and weary in the unforgiving, dusty fields. Your once strong muscles now refuse to obey, your cough deepens, turning ragged and desperate. A burning fever steadily takes hold, a fire consuming your body from the inside out. You know what it is. Everyone knows. There's no physician, no remedy, just resigned acceptance. Only the faint, fading hope that your family might offer some meager comfort as life slowly ebbs. You barely possess the strength to move your parched lips, to utter a final whisper, but your eyes, clouded with fever, still glimpse the vast, indifferent blue sky above. A sky that has silently witnessed millions just like you, born, struggling, and finally yielding. The relentless cycle continues unbreaking, Imperial China in all its stark beauty. With all its profound cruelty remains, stoic and enduring, a titan of history. You, however, are merely another name quickly forgotten, dissolved into the vast. The intricate tapestry of its ancient, unyielding, and often brutal history. And to think all you truly wanted was a decent bowl of rice and a few years of peace, wasn't it? But as we've seen, life in Imperial China was a brutal lottery, a gamble from the very start, where the odds, almost without exception, were stacked heavily against your favor. At least you had the chance to live, to feel, to struggle, to exist in that incredible, harsh world, even if that struggle began with your very first breath and persisted until your last. So, what about you? After hearing this story, where would you definitely not want to have been born? Share your thoughts and your own no-go historical periods in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell for more captivating, if somewhat bleak, journeys through time just like this one. Until next time, stay curious and be grateful for your modern conveniences.